divided. And so when we use our words to unite as opposed to divide, that's when we go to the next level. Now, unfortunately for me, I had a group of teachers. They weren't bad people. They just didn't really see that greatness inside me. You'll probably notice a bunch of the amazing teachers here at this school, the faculty and the staff, they're wearing shirts of ours that say, teach by faith and not by sight. They know that is not just something that they wear. It's a mantra. It's a reminder to teach by faith and not by sight. It's a mantra. It's a reminder that every single time we look at one of these children, regardless of what they're going through, regardless of their behavior, regardless of their background, we now know that there's greatness inside of them. Let me tell you what I mean. So I'm at this school, my first try for the 9th grade. After receiving these events, the school ended up kicking me out. I ended up cutting the electricity off. They didn't appreciate my gifts when it came to pranks. So the school said thanks, but no thanks. The next year came around, I went to a different school, completely bombed, got all Fs and 1 C. I changed my grades, tricked my mom, and she actually thought I made A's and B's, but they caught up with me at the end of the year, and that broke my mom's heart again. And then my third try for the 9th grade, after I got kicked out of Oakwood, and then I went to Johnson High, completely failed, and then I went to Huntsville High. I came across a group of teachers who were desperate. These teachers were desperate. These teachers were looking at me saying, Jeremy, not on my watch. You will not spend another year in the 9th grade. You are not going to be a 4-year 9th grade student. You are going to catch up with your right grade. They spoke life to me. They encouraged me. They affirmed me while they were battling cancer, while they were dealing with your own challenges. One of my teachers was going through a divorce. Another teacher had just buried her husband. Another teacher was an engineer, and he quit his job to become a teacher. Like, these teachers are sacrificing every single day. Why? Because they were desperate. They showed up every single day, and they did the absolute best that they could do to connect with me. And guess what I did? Being a young knucklehead, my third try for the 9th grade, I just built up a wall. Partly because I felt like I couldn't trust them. Partly because I felt like you don't understand my story. You don't understand what's going on inside my world. You don't look like me. You don't come from my community. I built up a wall. But their consistency and their persistence showed me how desperate they were. And eventually it connected with me. I realized it had nothing to do with the color of their skin, but everything to do with the depths of their heart. I'm looking at these educators who are showing up every single day, and I'm thinking like, okay, y'all are weird, you're corny, but I like it. I like it. Talk to me nice. You see great things inside me. You think I can bounce back. You think I can catch up with my right grade. They believed in me, right? They taught by faith and not by sight. I had other teachers, let me tell you something. I had some teachers that would always focus on what I did wrong. You know what I do now? Now I help educators focus on what's strong as opposed to what's wrong. Think about that, and that notion changed my marriage. I'm gonna talk about that a little bit. Like, I tell people now, focus on what's strong as opposed to what's wrong. So I had some teachers that was like, oh, Jeremy, you're into everything. Well, I'm into everything now. I do speaking for students, I do speaking for schools, I do speaking for universities. I got a K through 12 character curriculum. I'm working on this big innovation challenge, partnering with AT&T, you know what I'm saying, that your school has an opportunity to be a part of. We also own a trucking company. We got curriculums. We got 2 nonprofits, one here, one in South Africa, where we're feeding 1,000 kids per month, and we just sponsored 40 kids to go to college in South Africa. Like, I'm into everything now. They say, oh, Jeremy's all over the place. I'm all over the place now. I was just somewhere yesterday. I'll be back home at midnight tonight, and I'll be up running meetings with my other companies tomorrow. Like, what they thought was wrong with me is actually what was right with me. I just needed a group of educators that could see that greatness inside me. Now, it takes two. You know that song, It Takes Two, Baby? Y'all heard that song? I hope so, because y'all don't want me to sing it, right? I was getting it from my mom. My mom was like, honey, you can do it. She was fussing at me. She redirected me. She whooped my butt. She put me on punishment. She did whatever she could do, right, to be able to make sure that my phone didn't go off in the middle of a presentation in church. All right. So listen, like literally, my mom is just like, you can do it. I believe in you. I got your back. This is why I give you a hard time. And I was expecting to hear that from my mom, but from the teachers, it was kind of different. Though they were telling me the same thing, I kind of questioned like, yeah, but is it possible? Do you really think this is possible? But when I realized they didn't have to be there, I'll be begging parents, like, please cut the school some slack. I'm like, please, like, trust me, they care. I'll be talking to parents, like, sometimes, like, administrators should be like, can you just talk to this one parent? I'm thinking, like, that's not really my thing, but okay. My message is like, please, like, work with the school. It's not easy. It is hard having different kids from different walks of life, different backgrounds, different ethnicities, different cultures, different personalities, and different learning styles. That is very challenging, right? And I'm on the other side now, which is why I can speak from that place. And so I've got these educators who are showing up every single day doing the absolute best that they can. And then when I realized they didn't have to be there, something switched in my brain. Like, I don't know why, but I kind of thought it was like the draft. Like, the government just told adults, you'll be an engineer, you'll be a baker, you'll be a teacher, good luck. When I realized they actually chose many times to be overworked and underpaid, when I actually chose to show up and do this work, when I realized that being an educator wasn't just a career or an occupation. No, this is a calling. You gotta be called to do this work. So here I am looking at my teachers getting their butts kicked by life, but they're showing up every single day. It's like something clicked inside my brain. I said, you know what? I think it is possible. Like, maybe I'm not an accident. That's what I thought for the longest time. My mom had me when she was 16. I've never laid eyes on my biological father. I'm thinking like, you know what I'm saying? All I know is like, he was a bad guy and he had some challenges and here I am. So I'm thinking like, okay, I was an accident. I was a mistake. There's no purpose for my life, but these educators are showing up every single day. So now I'm wondering, like, is it possible for me to bounce back? Can I do great things? Am I really fearfully and wonderfully made? I'm hearing people say that in church, but what does that really mean? Because whenever I went places, I wasn't made to feel that way. Luckily enough for me, I finally came across a group of educators who were desperate. They said, we're going to do the absolute best we can every single day to connect with the heart and mind of Jeremy. It's something in my brain, just like that, just clicked. And when I realized they didn't have to be here, when I realized they chose to be here, that's when something took place in my heart. And I began to put the work in, and I humbled myself. I began to believe, as I told your beautiful children earlier, I began to believe. I humbled myself. I took ownership. I took accountability for my actions. I made adjustments. I put that hard work in. Let's see if the students were listening. Hard work? Oh, come on and talk to me. Hard work? So they were listening. Praise God. I would have been embarrassed if I'd been like, hard work, and it was crickets, you know what I'm saying? That was not cool. Really, I told them earlier, I even FaceTime my daughter Jewel. My daughter Jewel, she's 9, or she'll be 9 in 2 weeks. I let them FaceTime my daughter Jewel so that my baby girl, she could let them know, like, this thing is real. I'm drilling that on her now because I understand the importance of hard work, right? And so I hit the reset button. I went to summer school. I went to night school. I really believed in myself. Got active at my local church. Next thing I knew, I caught up on my right grade, graduated from high school on time, went to college, got a bachelor's degree in social work, got a master's degree in pastoral studies. And after I got my master's degree, I wrote my first book in 2010, became a published author. Then I wrote book number 2, book number 3, book number 4, book number 5. I just finished my 8th book. It's called Next Level Parents, where I show parents how to build stronger relationships with the school and how to effectively communicate with their children in this world of TikTok and social media so that student achievement can rise. So what does that mean for you? Because I feel like I'm talking to 3 different groups of people tonight, right? I'm still going to give a word. I still got a message for the students, right? They're going to get some of the leftovers, right? But for the parents and for the staff, like, we have a responsibility to work together. What the enemy doesn't want us working together. The enemy wants us bickering. The enemy wants us talking. The enemy wants us whispering behind our backs. I can't believe they did that. I can't believe they said that. That's what the enemy wants. The last thing the enemy wants is parents calling to the school, not to complain, but to say, hey, just so you know, can I just pray for you? Like, that's the last thing the enemy wants, right? It's for parents affirming and supporting one another. Teachers speaking life and praying for one another. Like parents speaking life to the teachers and teachers reaching out to the parents, like us working together. And sometimes that can be hard because, let's be honest, we're dealing with life here. Like, you parents, I get it. Like, you're trying to keep your own family intact. You've got your own feelings, your own emotions. You're working hard to pay the bills, to be able to provide a good life for your family. You know what I'm saying? You got them at the school. Like, you're doing the absolute best you can. And oftentimes I found, and first off, shout out to you parents for making it out tonight. Put your hands together, because I didn't know if it was going to be 5 people or what. I often find that the more supportive parents are the ones that typically come to these events, and the ones who we really need to be here are the ones that don't show up. So I'm grateful that you all are here tonight. But really, like, that's the last thing the enemy wants, is for us working together. Ever since your precious children were born, there was a special plan for their life. And the enemy is doing whatever he can to derail them, to distract them, to discourage them, to depress them, to derail them from being the amazing people that God has called them to be. And now they're at this school. So now we got to ask ourselves, okay, how can we work together? How can we support one another? How can we speak life to one another? Like, what are the different things that we can do to help support our young children? And one of those main things we can do, if we want to really support them, I found out that we have to support the school. Whatever that means for you, right? I don't know what that means for you. That might mean you might bake something. You might send an email once a week. You might ask if they need to volunteer. Like, I have no clue what that means for you. I have no clue what the school needs. I'm sure they need, I was going to say if anything, I'm sure they need some type of support, right? I don't know what that means, but I just know that if you really want to help your kids and support your kids, you can start by supporting the school. Now, I practice what I preach. My daughter, Jewel, just like me, except she's cute with pretty long hair, right? And every year when the school year starts, I'll get a big bouquet of flowers. I'm talking about like the biggest bouquet that I can get my hands on the first day of school. And that's my offering, right? That's my peace offering, like my gift to her teachers. And every time they're like, oh my God, for me? I'm like, yes, for you. They're like, oh my God, Mr. Anderson, this is not necessary. I'm like, oh my God, you don't know my daughter. Like, I promise you, hey, baby, listen to me. You feel me? Like, trust me. And then they send an email, oh, Mr. Anderson, Jewel is quite interesting. I understand the flowers now. I'm like, you feel me? Why do I do that? Because I realized this teacher got their own life. You know, they got their own challenges. They got their own situations. They've got their own things that they're trying to figure out and deal with. Their own children can lose their mind. They can have issues with their spouse. They can go through anxiety and depression. Like, they have real life that they're dealing with, but then they come to school, and the last thing I need is for one of my daughter's teachers to have a bad day and then to speak negativity or speak death or have some type of weird energy towards my daughter because she's going through something. So my thing is, like, I need to make sure that you're in the best mental health space possible. I need to make sure let me tell you something. I promise you, you know how some people say you'll never find another lover like me? Look, you will never find another parent like me, okay? When it's holiday time, I'm cashing you out. Valentine's Day, your husband, or if you are a male or female, you're going to think you got like a side piece. I'm about to spoil you. I promise you. I promise you. When it's your birthday, teacher appreciation, I don't do teacher appreciation day. It's the whole week. I'm finna find out what's your favorite scent from Bed Bath & Body Works. You know what I'm saying? If you do Starbucks, I'm gonna get you gift cards and a little stock in the company. You feel me? Like, we go above and beyond to make sure these teachers feel the love. Why? Because they hold a lot of stake in my daughter's life. I'm looking at them like, you spend 6 to 8 hours with my baby girl a day? What kind of energy do you have? What kind of spirit do you have? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's going on inside your world? Because it affects my daughter. So as much as I have to be intentional about making sure I put them in the best position, guess what other position I have, the other responsibility I have? I got to now make sure I put my children in the best position. So now I'm having conversations with my wife, and I'm like, honey, you do know that when Jewel goes to school, the behavior she shows at school is the behavior she sees at home. That's a hard conversation. My wife's like, what are you trying to say? I'm like, the behavior she shows at school is the behavior she sees at home. Good, bad, or indifferent, right? But that's the reality. Do we have some children that just flip a switch and just lose their mind when they come to school? Maybe. But most of them, if they're bullying someone else, come on, Shauna. If they bullying someone else, they've seen that behavior somewhere. Maybe it was from an older brother or sister. Maybe it was something else they saw on TV. Maybe it was something that they saw going on inside their home, right? So what am I telling you is we have to be mindful of what's happening in our home. And I'm going to be honest, it's hard at times. We have so much going on as parents, but we have to be intentional about what's happening, about how we speak, about how we discipline, how do we connect, how do we build, how do we communicate with our children, because it has an effect on them, and whatever we're doing with them in our home, they're bringing that same mindset to the school. Do we speak life over them? Are we affirming them? In my household, I already told and your kids probably told you, Mr. Jeremy came in and said a bad word. I did. I said a 4-letter word. I'm asking for forgiveness now. My daughter, I caught her cursing, and I figured she probably heard that language from somebody at school. And to really tell the story, I had to use the language. And I'm going to say it again tonight, so forgive me now. But my daughter said, I can't do it. And I said, baby girl, we don't use that language in my house. I'm challenging, I'm affirming her, I'm redirecting her. I need inside my baby girl's mind to know she can do all things through Christ who strengthens her. I need my baby girl to know that she can be an astronaut, she can be a teacher, she can be a dentist, whatever she wants to be. I need her to believe she can do it. So if I catch her saying what she can't do, I'm like, I understand it. You probably saw that on some little TV show. You probably heard somebody else say it, but baby girl, we don't move with that frequency. We don't use that language in my home. The words you speak over your children is so powerful. So we've got to be intentional now to make sure that we're speaking words of love, right? Joy, peace, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, long-suffering. Like, we got to make sure that we're setting the right example inside of our home. I used to hear, train up a child in the way they should go, and when they get old, they won't depart from it. That's not just saying, you know what I'm saying, just train them a certain way. Sometimes train up a child in the way they should go, it's just being real. It's just being raw. It's just being vulnerable. It's just really letting them know this is what we got going on. All right, so some of your children can't even handle this, right? And you can use your own discernment here. But if you find your kids one day, you know what I'm saying, and you want to be able to really show them what faith looks like, maybe you let them know, Mommy and Daddy's in a bit of a bind right now. We don't have the things that we need. Let's pray as a family. And let's watch God deliver us. Let me tell you, that's a bold prayer, because then you got to go your own prayer closet like, all right, now, God. You know what I'm saying? Sabrina, only 7. You're going to have to come through now. Don't have her questioning what you can do. Really, like, sometimes that train up a child in the way they should go, it's not do as I say, it's do as I do. And some of the different actions that we have. And so just be mindful of that, because our children are watching us. Your children are watching you. Every step you take, every move you make, they're watching how you move, how you operate, what you do, that phone call, that conversation, how you talk about people. They're modeling that and don't even realize it. And I believe that as we are more intentional about what we speak over our children, I believe that as we are more intentional and we are desperate to help them go to that next level, we're willing to make whatever necessary adjustments so that our children can really, truly go to that next level. But it's not as easy as it sounds. I mean, in order for you to really, really take your family and your life to the next level, you've got to really, really, really be disciplined. I found out the most successful people in the world aren't the smartest, they're not the most gifted, they're not the most talented. The most successful people in the world are those who are the most disciplined. You've got to be disciplined, right? And so you've got to be mindful and intentional about, okay, let me watch what I'm saying, the conversations I'm having, what's going on inside my home, because our kids are watching it, and then they come to school. And because we might not necessarily see them do or say certain things, when we get that call from the school, we're like, no, not my child. Where'd they get that from? And we have no clue that it might have been something that they might have picked up in our very home. Right? And so as teachers are saying, and I've already talked to several other teachers, so I know that they're praying for your children. As teachers are praying over children, as teachers are thinking like, I'm going to teach by faith and not by sight. Parents, you're doing the same thing. You're praying over your children. You're covering them. You know what I'm saying? You're doing the absolute best you can. You're being present. You're taking that time with your schoolwork. You're asking them how was their day. You're sending them off with prayer in the morning. You're making sure that you talk to them, see what's going on inside the world. You're really being not just physically present, you know what I'm saying, but emotionally and mentally present with them. Now they feel heard. Now they feel that connection. That's how we're going to be able to help them go to the next level. And then when we start working as parents and communities, and we start working with the school hand in hand, oh man, it's a whole nother level that we're going to go to at that point. And that's when we become dangerous. We don't have our children at this school just to protect them. We have them here to be shaped. We have them here to be molded. We have them here to be equipped. We have them here to be prepared to go out here in the world to be a light in the world. That should be the reason that our precious children are at this school. so that we can prepare them, equip them for making a big impact in the world, so that all their dreams, all the passion, all the vision, all the purpose that God has put within them, so that they can now take this and now let their light shine and be salt in a very bland world, to be light in a very dark world. Like, that's the plan. That's our mission here. So when I look across this room and I see all these beautiful, amazing children I got to hang out with today, I already see. I already know what they can accomplish. I already know what they can experience. I already know what they can have. But it's going to take for us to bring that greatness out of them. But again, we have to be desperate. We have to be desperate. We have to be desperate. Okay, Jeremy, what do you mean when you say we have to be desperate? Like, what exactly does that look like? So my wife, I love my wife. She's super awesome. Me and my wife made a commitment many years ago to be full-time speakers to do this work. Now, I didn't plan on it. I was like a motivational speaker. I would speak like, maybe 2-3 times a month. I would get a couple speaking engagements. Then I got up to like 3-4 times a month, but it was still part-time. I still had a regular job that paid me very well. I was working for a school called Wyotech, and great healthcare benefits, retirement plan, the whole shebang. Me and my wife had just built our first home. We had just had our daughter, Jewel, and we've got our precious baby girl. She's like 1 month old, and everything in our world was like so peachy. This lady at my church says, Jeremy, can you come to my school and speak? We don't really have a budget, but I just know your message and your story will bless our kids. I said, absolutely. I go to her school and I speak. I'm in the gymnasium with like maybe 400 or 500 people. I pour my heart out. The kids are walking out. I'm high-fiving everybody. Now, this is many years ago before COVID, right? I ain't high-fiving nobody now, you know what I'm saying? But I'm high-fiving all these kids. And then afterwards, this is little girl with red hair and freckles, crying her eyeballs off. I mean, she was crying so hard that her skin tone almost turned as red as her freckles. She came up to me afterwards, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, Mr. Jeremy. So the principal was like, whoa, let me give y'all some time to talk. So I said, sure. So he goes to the far end of the gym, and she's just like breaking down, crying. And she's like, thank you. I'm like, for what? She's like, you just saved my life. You just saved my life. I'm thinking like, come on now, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know I got a pretty cool story, but that's kind of extreme, I felt. She said, no, I plan on committing suicide. I'm like, whoa. She was like, I've been dealing with some stuff that's so heavy, and my best friend just did it, and she's no longer with me, and what I'm dealing with at home is too much to carry. She says, but now I know that weapons will form, but they're not going to prosper, because I'm more than a conqueror, Mr. Jeremy. Now she's like, I know that my condition will not be my conclusion. She's looking at her arm. You know how kids like write stuff on their arms and stuff? She's like, I know that I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, Mr. Jeremy. And I see like the little line marks on her arm. And so I'm just thinking like, wow. So she's just like, I'm going to make you so proud. I'm going to make you so proud. I want to live. I want to live. And she gives me the big hug. And of course, my allergies kick in, right? And she runs off the class. I mean, I'm an emotional wreck, right? Because just seeing the release, I felt like just how light she was. I was just like, what just happened? So I go home, and the whole night I'm wrestling with it because I know now what I've been called to do. So the next morning, you know what I'm saying, I got up, I made my wife breakfast. I had to get her in the spirit, you know what I'm saying? And I made her breakfast. I'll never forget, it was two egg whites, avocado toast, and the oatmeal with the craisins and little raisins in there and little almonds. So I make her breakfast. She's eating breakfast. I'm like, is it good? She's like, yeah. I'm like, you enjoy this? She's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, great. Hey, let me tell you about this school yesterday. So I went to the school and I spoke, and this little girl told me I changed her life, and I kind of found myself crying, and we had a crazy moment, and that's when I felt like the knot in my throat, right? And I'm looking for some water, and I'm like, and she said I changed her life, and that's when I realized, like, you know, babe, it's time for me. I've been speaking for a couple of years now. Like, it's time for me to, like, be a full-time speaker. So she's just like, oh, okay. I'm like, nah, that okay was a little too quick, right? So I'm really nervous, so I take another sip of water. I'm like, what I mean, honey, is that God, I believe it's called, I straight blame it on God, right? I say, God is calling me to quit my job. She's like, God said, I'm like, yes, boo, this is not my will, but thy will be done. She's like, then what he said about me? And when she started moving her hand and finger and moving her neck, I'm like, it's not going to be pretty. So I'm like, boo, he ain't say nothing about you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need you to keep working, because my wife worked for the government. So her salary will cover the mortgage and car note. She's like, no. No. I know how you are. You're not going to quit your job and you travel, and now I got a newborn baby I got to take care of and work. I'm going to quit my job too, and we're going to travel together. I said, did God say that? You know what I'm saying? Like, that was not a part of my plan. I didn't get that memo. She was like, nope, we're going to do it together. Why? Because we were desperate. Me seeing that little girl cry like that, me realizing like, man, could it be? Like, is that true? Like, was it that extreme? Did I just save her life? Like, how many more hundreds or thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions of people out here that I could connect with, sacrifice? And it was hard. Let me be clear. It was hard. I mean, we went to a point, it was just like, man, if we wasn't speaking, we wasn't eating. Like, it was not pretty. Eventually, we had to tap into our 401k. Eventually, we had to tap into our retirement money. Our savings was depleted, but we did what we had to do to get to where we are today. And a lot of years of serving and sacrifice, and now, of course, we're on the other side, but there was a very scary season for years when we went through the struggle, when we were building this thing, right? So, for some of you, that's two things, right? I feel like there were some of you, you put in so much work, you've made such a big investment, you're doing the absolute best you can where you are now, and you're wondering like, okay, when am I gonna get to the next level? And one thing I wanna share with you right now in the spirit, right, is that next level is coming. Like, delayed is not denied, you know what I'm saying? So keep doing the best you can with what you have, keep doing the best you can with where you are, keep showing up, keep sacrificing, keep putting that work in. It's only a matter of time, you know what I'm saying, before you get that breakthrough. That's for a small, particular group of people in here. For the rest of you, you all are in a place in your life right now where you're trying to figure out, like, okay, like what adjustments do I gotta make and how do I make those adjustments? Once you identify what adjustments you have to make, now you gotta ask yourself, how bad do I want it? And then you gotta be willing to do it. Again, we're talking about being desperate tonight. We're not talking about kind of wanna doing it. We're not talking about being passive. We're talking about being aggressive. We're talking about being, you know what I'm saying, like dominant, you know what I'm saying, in this space. We're talking about being desperate. My wife got sick. I'd probably say it was, Jewel was maybe so this is maybe 2014. We're traveling, speaking. I'm going to churches, I'm going to schools, all across America, even overseas. My wife gets really sick. She gets diagnosed with fibromyalgia, endometriosis, adenomyosis. We lose 2 babies back to back. Like, it's like a cloud of depression was just like over our home for like 2 years straight. I'm thinking like nothing is working out. My wife didn't want to get out the bed. Then it got to a point where she couldn't get out the bed. She couldn't walk up the stairs. Like, her body was failing her. The endometriosis, the adenomyosis, the fibromyalgia was just taking over her body like legions all over. Like, it was just the worst. And I remember looking up at the sky like, God, what is going on? Like, we're good people. Like, we're doing the absolute best we can. Like, we walked away from a lot of guaranteed money to be able to serve and do this work. And it's like nothing is working out in our life. I'm sharing this part of my story with you because I want some of you parents to know, and I want some of you teachers to know that you're not by yourself. I want you to know, like, I get it. Like, I understand where you are, what you got going on. I know how nerve-wracking, I know how frightening it can be. I know how frustrating, I know how painful, I know how depressing and emotionally, mentally draining it can be. But I'm telling you, you can't quit and you can't give up. We're going through this storm. We're in such a weird space. And I send my wife to every type of doctor you can imagine. And they just kept prescribing pill after pill, drug after drug. And I'm thinking like, come on now. There has to be something that can help my wife bounce back and get to the next level. And so I heard about this place. Well, and then one doctor prescribed some medicine. She was taking 9 different prescribed medicines. I'm thinking like, my wife's in her early 30s. Like, this is sick. This cannot be the way it's going to be. One of the side effects said could cause bleeding from the ear. Now I'm thinking like, I can understand a nosebleed, but bleeding from the ear, doc, what is this? And doc said, don't worry. If that happens, I have another drug I can prescribe you. I said, that's the problem. My wife's not some guinea pig you can just practice different medicines on. And so I found out about this place called Wildwood. It's in Tennessee. It's an all-natural, holistic herbal place. I sent my wife there. I heard they could reverse diabetes and cancer and all these amazing things. I sent my wife there for a 10-day treatment. She came back changed. She was able to walk. She was able to run upstairs. She got like super energized, lots of energy. She had pretty long hair. She cut her hair off. I was like, I'm about to start working out like G.I. Jane. Y'all see that movie G.I. Jane with Demi Moore? She cut her hair off. I was like, okay, that's gangster. Like, what is going on? And I'm like, okay, honey, you're a different person. Like, whatever miracle drug they gave you, let's buy some stock in it. You know what I'm saying? Like, this thing's about to take off. She said there was no miracle drug. I said, you could barely walk. You couldn't walk up steps. You were depressed. You were defeated. You were always tired. Your knees and legs were always burning. Like, How are you like a different person in 10 days? You know what she said? She said, they changed my diet. I said, okay, what does that mean? She says, I'm vegan now. I said, what is that? I thought we were Christian. You know what I'm saying? I was like, what is vegan? What you talking about? I thought we loved God. What happened? She was like, no, vegan, like, they prescribed me, put me on a plant-based lifestyle, like I don't eat this, I don't eat that no more. Instantly. I said, well, you know what? If you don't eat beef, I don't eat beef. I felt that first tear come down my eye. I ain't gonna lie. Let me tell you something. You want to capture my heart? Give me a juicy rib. I'll cook medium plus. You feel me? But why? Why would I be instantly ready to adopt this lifestyle? Because I was desperate. I wanted to see my wife in her best position. I wanted her to see healthy and whole and happy. I saw the energy. I saw her spirit. I said, whatever it takes for you to have this energy, I was just like, let's go. And so for about a year and a half, we were strictly plant-based vegan. I let her tell me when she was ready to become a vegetarian. Then I let her tell me when she was ready to eat fish. We went about 4 years without even eating meat, except for like fish near the end of that. Why? Because I was desperate. I'm sharing that with you because when we look at every aspect of our lives, if we can just get to a point where we are desperate, not for us, right? For you, it might be, I'm desperate for Christ, like whatever Christ is, right? For some of you, you might say, man, I'm desperate. I want to have my family I want to be financially free. You might say, I'm desperate to have the best marriage. You might say, I'm desperate to be the best father. So I'm going to start saying no more often. I'm going to stop answering some calls. I'm going to miss out on a few opportunities so I can be more present. I'm telling you, if you really want to go to that next level, you've got to make sure that you are desperate in the areas of life that matter most. I feel like whenever I went to that next level in my life, I feel like whenever I hit that next spear, whenever I went to that next, like that growth spurt, that spiritual, mental, emotional growth spurt is when I got to a place when I was desperate. Because my wife was dealing with so many issues with her health and her sickness in her body. Like she was on the point now, she was like, it's certain things I just can't do. I'm always tired. I'm not in the mood. Like you deserve something else. We can get a divorce. I promise you, my wife literally was just like, you deserve better. I just can't give you what you need. I'm sorry. I wish I could. I just don't have it. I'm trying to hold on for the rest of my life. I don't know how. I can't even do nothing for you. I'm sorry. Let me just release you. And I was just like, all right, somebody else going to appreciate me and going to get this love. Then I started thinking like, wait a second. I said, till death do us part. I ain't dead. You ain't dead. You feel me? I was like, this thing got to work. Like we made a covenant. And so I was like, let's get marriage counseling. So I began to go to marriage counselor after marriage counselor and marriage coaches. And we got a little bit better. But it was still like that hole in my heart. I'm about to be real vulnerable with y'all. And I'm going to try to talk in code, right? Because we got our children in here. I was desperate not to lose my wife. I was desperate not to lose my family. I was desperate to make sure that my family was successful and we could stay together. I was desperate to make whatever adjustments. I told my wife, I said, baby girl, I'm going to release you. I have no more expectations when it comes to that. If y'all know the 5 love languages, right, you got like physical touch, you got words of affirmation, you got acts of kindness, you got gifts and service and things like that. Like mine clearly was the physical touch. I said, you know what, boo, I'm going to release you. Listen to me, my friends. I went through a 9-month fast from my wife. God said, son, make love to her heart. Son, make love to her mind. Make love to her visions, her dreams. Discipline. I promise you, I'm like a mental savage. I'm disciplined. Come on, I'm not talking, in case you missed it, I'm not talking about fasting for food. I got to a point in my life, I was like, whatever it takes. And I'm going to keep my body pure. And I'm going to keep my eyes pure. And I'm going to make sure I stay focused. And I'm going to honor my body before God and before man. I just told myself, I said, whatever you need, honey. Let me just focus on holding your hands. I'm just going to date you. Let me just make sure that you're in a good mental health space. Don't even worry about the things I need. I'm going to go to God. At that time, I was waking up at like 4 o'clock in the morning. Like, I need you to fulfill my needs. You feel me? Like, take care of my heart, God. I just want some love. Take care of my heart, right? Why? Some people are like, man, Jeremy, that's extreme. And I didn't plan for it to be 9 months either. I was just really being obedient to God. But I was desperate. You do with that whatever you need to. I'm about to wrap it up. If you really want to take your family to the next level, you really want to take your classroom to the next level, you got to be desperate, teachers. Do you know you got some kids in your classroom that you're having a hard time connecting with? Maybe you don't really quite understand their world or really understand what's going on. There are books out here. Come on, y'all. Go to Amazon. There are books out here that can show you like what it takes and what it looks like for you to be able to connect with different kids with different personalities, different behaviors, different learning styles. Be desperate. If you're a parent and you're like, man, I'm in a really weird space, I'm not really in a good headspace, you gotta be desperate. You gotta get some counseling, you gotta get some marriage counseling, some mental health coaching, a financial advisor, like whatever you gotta do, find some accountability partners. We have to be desperate if you really wanna go to that next level. Students, my young friends, if you really love your mom, your dad, you really love your grandparents, your family, you really love your teachers, you'll show them by your behavior. I told them earlier too. Some of the students didn't realize the pain and the trauma that they might cause the parents or even the teachers by their behavior. So if you really want to show your parents how much you love them, you really want to show them how much you appreciate them, your behavior. I believe every single one of us under the sound of my voice, when we are desperate to say, you know what, I'm willing to do whatever I got to do. When we're desperate, that's where our power is. Christ was desperate. Christ was looking down like, man, what are we going to do with humanity? The Father was like, go ahead. He was desperate. Come on. He didn't have to come here as a man and walk the earth. He was desperate. He laid down his life because he was desperate to save us all. I believe that when we're desperate, I believe that's when we'll say, you know what? Let me reach out to the school to see what the school needs. I'm desperate. I need my kids to be successful. I need this school to work for my kids. All right, when we're desperate, we'll say, you know what? Let me take a different approach with this child. Let me reach out to the parents. Let me take a different approach with the parents. Let me get some books. Let me do some extra things when we're desperate. When we're desperate, we'll say, you know what, honey, I'm sorry. I don't know why I feel a pull to talk about marriage. It's like when we're desperate, we'll say, you know what, honey, forgive me. And it's going to be hard, fellas, but you have to say, okay. You really want to clap back? Because I can clap really good. You know, I'm talking about like, I'm like, no, I'm not going to clap back. I'm going to give you grace. I know you're going to give me grace. I'm like, ha, ha, ha. Because I'm desperate. I told myself, man, the world might not value my wife out here. The world might not really fully value her and love her. I'll be a punching bag. This could be a safe space. You want to vent? You want to be upset? You want to take it off on me? Okay. I went to God like, why? He was like, oh, I'm sorry, son. I thought you were strong enough. Are you just as emotional? Are you not strong enough? Oh, it's your pride that's getting hit? How about you show grace? The same way you feel your wife treats you, you treat me the same way. And my mercies are new every morning. Say, wow. I'm just sharing with y'all a part of my journey. Please, beloved, don't think that, oh, this aspiring student, this guy speaker came and struggled in school and repeated a bunch of grades and ended up catching back up and now he was successful. No. Life has grown me. I've gone through some challenges and some pains when it comes to business, when it comes to health, when it comes to finance, when it comes to being a husband, when it comes to being a father, when it comes to being a son. Like, it hasn't been easy, but I promise you this, beloved, all the challenges, all the struggles, everything that you're going through, as we know, it's going to turn out for your good. And when you're done, you're going to have a different type of strength. You're going to be in a different position. Some of you parents, you're breaking through some generational stuff that your kids are struggling with or that your kids will not have to struggle with because you're going to be free from it. That's the mindset that we have to be in as parents. We have to tell ourselves, I'm not just doing what I do day to day just to provide for them. I don't want to just provide a better lifestyle. I want to provide a lifestyle where they can be free from some of the things that plagued me and plagued my parents and the parents before them. We're talking about breaking generational curses. This is why we have to be in tune. This is why we have to be desperate. This is why we have to extend grace. This is why we have to extend and show love. This is why we have to be patient. This is why we have to tell ourselves every single day, always grateful, but never settle. That's the fabric of my life. Every single aspect of my life, I'm like, man, I'm grateful for this opportunity, but I'm not going to settle. Can I be a better husband? Can I be a better father? Is God trying to take me to that next level? Or there's some adjustments I can make? Always grateful, but never settle. Like, that's been the framework. And I believe if every single one of us has that mindset that says, you know what? I'm a pretty good husband, but I can be better. I'm a pretty good mom, but I can be better. I'm a pretty good teacher. Actually, I'm a pretty amazing teacher, but I can be even better. I believe that when we tell ourselves that, when we say, you know what, I'm grateful, but I'm not going to settle. I'm grateful for what I've accomplished. I'm grateful for what I've done, but I can be even better. When we do that, we're going to go from one level to the next level and to the next level, and we're going to look up one day, and we're going to see you all at the top. Let's pray. Father in heaven, God, I'm grateful to be able to just take some time to share with my brothers and sisters tonight. God, I pray that this message, Lord, will resonate in the hearts and minds of exactly who needed to hear it. God, I'm praying that for some of them, you gave them a very distinct word when it comes to being desperate, Lord. And for some of them tonight, there are some things they're going to change. There's a different mindset shift that they're going to have. There are some different things that they're going to do and experience. So I pray, God, that you will prepare them for this next level. I pray, God, that you will identify to them the adjustments that they have to make so that they can be even stronger and even bolder and even more powerful, so that they can live a life that's more fulfilled and that they can raise up beautiful, amazing children with the full power and potential. Bless us, keep us, strengthen us, Lord. Be with the pastor, Lord, be with our principal, be with all the other leaders, all of the other educators, Lord, who showed up every single day, who answered the call that was on their life, Lord. For those that are struggling financially, God, give them what they need. For those who have recently had heartbroken, Lord, heal their hearts. For those who might be mourning the loss of a loved one's, Lord, take care of their heart. Give them the peace that surpasses all understanding. Whatever depression that's in this place, I pray that you will push it out in the name of Jesus. God, bless them. Keep them, strengthen them, take us to the next level with you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. God bless you all.